Greetings to our Michigan Vocational Rehabilitation Agency team members and our Vocational Rehab National Employment team members, also known as the NET, and of course our federal partner here today, the National Park System. My name is Jenny Pyatt. I'm the Division Director over Business Services with our General VR agency. That's Vocational Rehab, Michigan Rehabilitation Services. And I'm also the NET point of contact for the Michigan General Agency. I'm also joined by my Michigan colleague, Lisa Kiesel, who will also introduce herself in a moment. Just let me say, we are super excited to spotlight today our newer NET federal partner, the National Park Service. Like many of you have had accessed and enjoyed the resources of our respective states' national parks, and also probably meeting some of the public-facing staff too. I'm going to share Tyler's going to share a quick screen for me. For example, I had the pleasure of doing some backcountry packing on Isle Royal and Lake Superior a few years ago. I'm sure many of you have similar, photos and memories, experiences in your past too, or even more recently. I think after today, you'll be pleasantly surprised about the multiple career opportunities with National Park System, both on the trails and behind the scenes. Before I hand it off to Lisa for introductions, though, let me do just a little quick housekeeping. We are expecting our interpreter hopefully should be joining just shortly. We have our live captioning or CART services that are also available to you right now. And if for any reason, the interpreter, we don't have the interpretation for today, when Kathy sends out the recording, so today's session is being recorded, we will make certain that the interpreter is pinned and included in the recording. So our apologies, we're thinking something really urgent or an emergency came up, as it's very unusual not to have our interpreter here. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Lisa.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lisa Kiesel. I am the Division Director for Field Services for the Bureau of Services for Blind Persons, which is the partner agency in Michigan for our vocational rehabilitation program. We serve individuals who are blind or low vision and who are interested in becoming employed in various areas of demand-driven occupation and interests, and obviously capacity and abilities. So appreciate the opportunity to be with you today and to share more about who we are and what we do as a VR agency and how we can partner together. I also understand, Jenny, you'd like me to introduce Kathy. Is that correct? Is she here?
Yep, Kathy's here.
All right. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Kathy. It's Wes Evans, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just making sure. I'm not seeing your name, so I want to make sure I've got the right Kathy. So Kathy Wes Evans represents the national employment team, obviously from the national level, working for the Council on State Agencies for VR. And she's been a huge proponent of working together to provide opportunities for employment for individuals who are blind, who are low vision, who have other disabilities in addition, and representing everyone where VR services could be appropriate, and being a catalyst for communication about opportunities for employment. Kathy also represents the Talent Acquisition Portal, which is an opportunity for business to be able to acquire talent from individuals with disabilities from every level. And so I'd like to just take this opportunity to say hello and welcome.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, Jenny and Tyler, for hosting this session today. We're very excited and always appreciative of our partners on the Michigan team. So thank you so much. I'm excited to be here today. Greetings from Washington State, where we love our National Park Service. And when Sarah and I first met, we talked about just the awesome opportunity to be in nature and our beautiful national parks. So I want to give a shout out first to our National Park Service partners and thank you for, wow, you do a lot of work. And then Sarah, you're going to share some of the positions available. And I think people will be very interested in hearing the diversity. But how many
Right.
square miles are those national parks here in the US?
Let's see. I think it's 84 million acres.
Yeah. Yeah. So here in
So-
Washington State, we enjoy them, and there's no better place to be than your national park with your best friend and your dog, of course. So if it's allowed. So,
Right.
anyway,
Right.
but thank you for
Make-
the work you do.
Mhm.
But Sarah was just, as soon as she came on board, we connected and really working with her team to grow an initiative to look at diverse talent and really building out the whole strategy around how you build that talent pipeline, including individuals with disabilities. Many of you met her at our NET Summit. We had a conversation and I shared the date, and I think that afternoon you'd already booked your flight. So I would just
one of the few times government moves fast.
there you go. So I'm just excited to have her with us and for all of you to learn more about the opportunities with the National Park Service. And just thank you for your commitment to your whole team. I know you've got some other team members on board with you we're going to meet. Following this, as Jenny said, we'll be sharing the recording. And Sarah has also put together a business profile that we'll be sending out. For those of you who get the net updates, you will continue to see all of those great employment opportunities. So now you get to meet the team behind them and understand their commitment to diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion, and really looking at diversity in the workforce and supporting that diverse talent pipeline. So thank you for the work that you do. And I'll
Oh.
turn it over to Sarah.
All right. Well, thank you to Kathy. Kathy's one of my favorite people out there. Out of all our partners, I think Kathy's the best. I really do. You do so much good work, so inspirational, so much good information comes out of every time we talk. So what I'll do is I'll start sharing my screen and sharing the presentation as well. And then I'll have my team introduce themselves as well. All right, so that's up on the screen now. And welcome to our National Park Service presentation. Thank you all for coming on here and being a part of our services and what we can offer your participants and the people you serve. All right, our mission, the most important thing we'd like to start off with is what we do and why we do it. Our National Park Service mission is to preserve the unimpaired natural and cultural resources and values of the national park system for this and future generations. Our National Park Service cooperates with partners to extend the benefits of natural and cultural resource conservation throughout this country and the world. Our national recruitment team mission and values. Since forming in May, we have created and developed our own mission and our own vision, as we are largely self-directed in our outreach efforts, following the guidance of our DOI, our National Parks Service, and executive orders as a federal employer and public servants. Our mission is to provide outstanding recruitment service that identify, attract, and inspire qualified and talented candidates to join the National Park Service workforce. And our vision is that the NRT will achieve our vision by partnering with hiring managers to recruit, attract, and retain our nation's most important treasures, our people. Really, the people who work at our parks are the core of what we do. It's a common thing we hear when I go out into the public and tell people I work for national parks. they ask me, are you a ranger and which park do you work at? So you can see that the people are the most important component of our parks. A little bit more about our leadership. Our Secretary Halland. Our Secretary Halland made history when she became the first Native American to serve as cabinet secretary. She is a member of the Pueblo of Laguna and the 35th generation New Mexican. Secretary Halland grew up in a military family where her father was a 30-year combat Marine who was awarded the Silver Star Medal for saving 6 lives in Vietnam. And her mother is a Navy veteran who served as a federal employee for 25 years at the Bureau of Indian Affairs. As a military child, she attended 13 public schools before graduating from Highland High School in Albuquerque. Throughout her career in public service, Secretary Halland has broken barriers and opened the doors of opportunities for future generations. And our director, Chuck Sams. Chuck Sams was ceremonially sworn in as the 19th director of the National Park Service on December 16, 2021, by Secretary Deb Halland. Sams is Coyos and Walla Walla and is an enrolled member of the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation in Northeast Oregon, where he grew up. He also has blood ties to the Cocopah tribe and the Yakston Sioux of Fort Peck. Sams most recently served as Oregon Governor Kate Brown's appointee to the Pacific Northwest Power and Conservation Council, where he held a position as a council member from March to December of 2021. Prior to joining the Northwest Council, he served as executive director for the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation. And for 30 years, Sams has worked in tribal and state government and in the nonprofit natural resource and conservation management field, with an emphasis on the responsibility of strong stewardship for land preservation for this and future generations. Sams is a veteran of the U.S. Navy, where he served as an intelligence specialist. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Concordia University and a Master of Legal Studies in Indigenous Peoples Law from the University of Oklahoma School of Law. He lives with his wife, Lori, Lynn, Sams, and their youngest daughters in Alexandria, Virginia. All right, our recruitment and outreach team. I know we have Glenn Hooks on the call, and I also know we have Olin Gilseppi and myself. And here we are. I'll let my team members come up and introduce themselves and tell you a little bit more about who they are and what they do.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Glenn Hooks. I'm the lead recruiter for the National Park Service National Recruitment Team. So all bucks stop and start with me, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on. I am a retired U.S. Army military policeman specialized in protective services. I've spent 21 years in the Army, just 14 years of that in overseas assignments. I've been a government service employee civilian for going on 16 years now. So that gives you right going on 37 years of federal government employment. I've been associated with talent acquisition for almost 22 of those 37 years. And hopefully we're going to bring modernization to the National Park Service of their first ever national recruitment levels. We are here to affect change across the National Park Service. And those that are on this call and those that we're partnering with here, it's very important to understand that we do aggressively hire for diversity. We do have the means to meet your accommodations, everything from blind to hearing disabilities to any other plethora of disability, which is within the Schedule A and outside of the Schedule A authority. So understand the National Park Service does have accessibility positions for everybody out there, and we encourage you to take a look at that. We will offer training and education on how to best write your resume and apply through USA Jobs, which we all know that's a very easy system to use, right? No, just kidding. It's a very complicated system to use, but we do have the expertise to teach you how to write your experience to get the best opportunities to actually get referred and interviewed for a position based on the job announcement that you can see. So we offer those classes twice a week, and we're willing to stand up with organizations like these wonderful organizations here within the Michigan X to be able to stand up and say, we can come provide in-person or virtual training to your customers and your members, specifically geared to what they're looking for. So if you need that support, reach out to us. We'll be more than glad to offer it. I appreciate this time to talk, and I appreciate Sarah's efforts in making this collaboration, this partnership to what it is today. I look forward to seeing y'all in the National Park Service uniform and or one of our open positions. We average over 1,000 positions per week. And yes, my team knows every single job that's open and is going to be coming open in National Park Service every Monday morning. Thank you for your time.
All right, Olin, if you're available, would you like to introduce yourself? I don't
Can
think
you
Olin's
hear me?
available. Yeah, yes, go ahead.
I'm trying to do the video. Looks like it's disabled, so I'll just go ahead and talk. I'm a little under the weather anyway. Greetings, everybody. My name is Olin Gillespie. I'm also a recruiter with the National Recruitment Team. Been doing this for quite some time. I've been in the talent acquisitions field for about 12 years. I am a U.S. Air Force retiree, where I got my start human resources and talent acquisitions. And now I decided to bring it over to the federal side. So we are here to help. Any questions you have, please let us know. We want to see you, like Glenn just said, in one of our uniforms. Anything we can do to help out, please let us know. We're here for you. Thank you.
All right. And JT, if you're on the call, would you like to introduce yourself? I don't believe JT has joined us today. All right, I don't think JT's here, so I'll give a brief introduction of myself, and we can proceed from there. I am our NET CSAVR lead on this partnership, and before I was with National Parks, I was with JP Morgan Chase, and diversity and inclusion is paramount at JP Morgan Chase. So bringing those ideas and concepts to National Park Service has been exciting, and I also bring a lot of industry experience as well. So combining that experience with all the volunteerism I've done over the years for natural resource management and museums is definitely a solid match for me. And I'm super excited to continue with these NET partnership meetings and tell you more about all the great opportunities about how the people you serve can come join us in uniform or come visit us in parks and behind the scenes working as well. So we'll get started with our presentation from here. So NPS by the numbers, you can see yourselves out in Michigan with your lovely national parks. We have 6 national parks in Michigan. NPS by the numbers, we have over 425 managed sites in all states and US territories. We have 27,000 full-time and temporary employees. That includes our seasonal workers and summer workers and also career seasonal workers. We manage 84 million acres of land across the country, and 1/3 of parks are in urban areas. So you can see the map here with our DOI regions where parks are, and you can see huge concentrations in the Northeast for Washington, DC, Baltimore, New York City, and our other urban areas as well. So here's some thoughts and ideas about national park sites and where you can go in terms of work and also to visit. We have sites that people really think of every day when they think of a national park site. Maybe you think of Yosemite, or maybe you think of Great Smoky Mountains Parks, or one of the other big monuments like Grand Canyon. But we also manage national seashores such as Point Reyes. We manage conceptual things like the National Registry of Historic Places. There's a ranger on the National Mall. I believe that was Inauguration Day. And also urban parks, the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island in New York. And you can see right there, there's 2 of our park employees on a boat So you can even be a boat driver, small craft operator with the National Park Service. If you're interested in looking into parks that might be near you, or in your area or an area you're visiting to, this both helps explore career interests and also for your own visiting. You can get the app on Google Play and the App Store. You can look at different types of sites and sort by different features depending on what kind of parks you're interested in working at. These are our careers in high demand. Getting down to business a little bit more. We have over 26 career categories and 300 positions. So by no means this is not a limiting factor. These are positions we have open pretty continuously in our parks. Our park ranger, both interpretation and park rangers of protection and law enforcement. Interpretation park rangers are hands-on with visitors in terms of trails and maps and guiding. And protection and law enforcement keeps our parks safe and enforces the laws and regulations as well. There are park ranger positions that combine both the interpretation and protection law enforcement as well. Maintenance, always a growing field, definitely high demand. We have mechanics of all disciplines, high voltage and HVAC, and those are just some of the ideas of how you can join maintenance. There's also historic preservation as well. Administration, these are the people who work behind the scenes to run our parks and also our regional and federal offices as well. We have park guides, and park guides are very hands-on with visitors and very informed and knowledgeable about the interior attributes of our parks and what they offer, why things are the way they are in terms of geographic formations, biological formations. They're a great wealth of information. They're kind of like walking encyclopedias. Our biological technicians take care of a range of duties, both in the field and in the lab, and they touch on several different areas. It's a great way to get started in parks and also federal employment as well. Wildland firefighter, you can see our wildland firefighters up there in the right-hand corner in a picture, and it looks like they're doing a drill on a road. So lots of different types of positions and lots of different opportunities. One of the questions I get asked is, are all park jobs seasonal? Well, that's not necessarily true. We have different types of opportunities depending on the role. We have seasonal and temporary positions, which are annually recurring that may last 6 months or more. We also have a new designation that's becoming more and more popular called career seasonal, where you are in a non-pay status for a designated amount of time every year, and you return every season without reinstatement. I've seen these career seasonal roles. They can be in non-paid status for as little as 2 weeks a year, usually towards the end of the year, right around now. We have term positions, and term positions usually last for 1 to 4 years and are usually project-based. And these term positions can be funded for several years. We have internships. An internship will typically last from 3 months to a year, and a permanent position has no set time limit. So those are funded continuously. Our presidential management fellows, that's a 2-year leadership program. And there's a lot of wonderful opportunities for promising high potential individuals in programs in schools. All right, so federal job application. It's important to understand our federal hiring authorities and hiring paths. And these apply not only to parks jobs, but also to all federal jobs. It's important to research all of these when you're working with your participant base to make sure that you look at all of these different areas, because you can have multiple hiring authorities at the same time, and you can use any of these to apply for those federal jobs. Here's some resources on hiring authorities. We can send out these slides later on. Our USA Jobs Help Center helps you take a look at those unique hiring paths. The ABCs of Schedule A, I know Kathy's been highly involved with that area, so getting in and tips for applicants with disabilities, and also how to get a Schedule A letter and the verbiage and language it contains. Ask Earn more information on that Schedule A hiring authority, and also veterans preference as well. Those are some very good resources on hiring authorities. Here's some more resources we have for National Park Service career resources for finding opportunities. We have a youth and young adult programs. These youth and young adult programs are from ages 15 to 30 and 35 for veterans. So you can join these programs pretty much anytime between 15 and 30 and 35 if you're a veteran. Internships and fellowships research learning center is available at opm.gov, and open National Park Service opportunities at USA Jobs. You can save searches, you can make your resume searchable, you can save multiple searches. I always recommend anyone who's actively looking for a job has their searches sent to them on a daily basis. Making your resume searchable really helps our Park Service get in and look for hard to fill roles, and also very specialized positions, and also in remote areas as well. And so if we have positions, we can do some proactive outreach. If someone's looking for some new avenues, new pathways, or looking to get out there, that isn't necessarily paid, volunteer.gov is a great resource. And you can also ask at your local parks about volunteer opportunities. They have good ways of making sure that everyone who wants to participate in parks has the opportunity to do so. Workforce recruitment program is available through colleges and universities for students and recent graduates who happen to be disabled. And those are available through usually a school's career office, but sometimes also the Department of Accommodations at the schools will have resources on that as well. All right. There are several resume resources available to you and your program participants. You can reach out to us directly if you'd like to have some follow-up workshops on resume writing, and we do offer these resume writing workshops pretty regularly. We're going to start picking these up in January, and we will be announcing them on usajobs.gov. So you can feel free to have participants register and also register for yourself. That will help you get a grasp on federal resume writing and applying that knowledge to how specifically it can help be beneficial for opportunities in parks as well. Interviewing. After a position's announced and it's closed, a list of eligible candidates are forwarded to the hiring manager for consideration. Having an interview, one of the most exciting things out there, right? It means you're so close to getting that job. What we recommend doing is having everyone research the park features and location, research the size, and all of this information is available on nps.gov, and there's some other resources as well. And then also taking a look at that job description and going through that. Now, you may be asked technical questions such as, how do you solve problems? How do you perform certain technical components of the job? If there's some clues on the job description, such as tools that will be used in a certain role, or certain computer systems, you might be asked, how do you perform those tasks? How do you go about doing things? And could be asked behavior questions such as, tell me about a time when, and follow on with some skills such as problem solving, could involve conflict management and other aspects of the role as well. Definitely bring questions to the interview, and this is true for parks, any federal job, or any private employer. Being prepared to ask about the role and those expectations, asking about team members, asking about resources inside the park and outside the park, who you'll be working with, who you'll be collaborating with on a daily basis, interactions with the public, and things of that nature. Ask the interviewer what their experience has been like working in parks. A lot of people who are conducting these interviews and talking to the candidates have been at Parks for several years and really enjoy telling you about their experiences, their career path, and the unique features of their park and why they enjoy working at those parks. Looks like there's something in the Q&A. Are we open to facilitated or alternative interviewing styles? A few position titles that may be surprising. Oh, okay. So we've got some questions there. Facilitated or alternative interviewing styles. So for facilitated and alternative interviewing styles, what you'll do is you'll contact the announcement person, and it looks like Glenn Hooks is also getting back to you as well.
Yeah, in that case, I just put it in the chat room, but
Yeah.
I'll answer it live as well. Is when there are those, you are welcome to contact the agency POC that is in the job announcement and ask them for any type of special consideration due to disabilities for interview processes. Especially if you're selected for an interview, you can also bring that up at that time to the HR specialist that will be scheduling and working the interview process.
Mhm. All right, and then our next question, a few position titles that may be surprising and not normally associated with NPS. So I think one of the surprising job titles is animal handler. There's people who work with the sled dogs up in Alaska, and also work in other areas with animals. Tree climbing, that's another surprising one. And then those small craft operators, driving a snowmobile can be a job description. We have engineers of all varieties. A few days ago, I was asked if we have positions in water management, and we definitely do.
Tractor operators, but
And
bush hog.
tractor up.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, you name it, we got small engine repair to custodial positions, janitors, and, individuals like the Walmart greeter. Hey, we've got those too. Those are usually volunteers, but we do have some paid positions that are, greeters at the visitor center.
Right, and usually those are also associated with park guide or feed technicians as well. What does the pay levels look like, and how hard is it to transfer to another state once hired? Okay, so pay levels, what do they look like? The pay levels really have a vast range. For our internships position, we do have a living wage policy. So typically, an intern would start at around $15 an hour. And all pay ranges are posted on the vacancy description. So we do have a lot of pay transparency. And we also follow the OPM guidance for cost of living. Oh, Glenn beat me to it. Thanks, Glenn. And then how hard is it to transfer to another state once hired? Well, here's the old saying, and it's especially true in government jobs, more so. It's easier to get a job when you have a job. So it's a lot easier to transfer within NPS once you're hired. And one of the things our national recruitment does to help you transfer to another state or get jobs in other areas and advance your career is we do proactively send out announcements within NPS to help our current servants, our current public servants, gain opportunities in their career and go out for opportunities they may be interested in other areas, both career-wise and location-wise. Are we open to on the evaluation and working with VR? I believe on the evaluation is part of your vocational rehab services where you gain experience. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. With anybody with disabilities, anything to do with evaluations and evaluation for the actual job itself, it's pretty standardized across the federal government. So they're looking at your qualifications against a job announcement. Then that gets you referred to the interview. Once you get into the interview, that's where there'll be questions, and they really don't see your disabilities until at that point, unless the job is specifically marketed for individuals with disability. And then that will come into play during the evaluation period, the qualification period by the HR specialist before it goes to the hiring manager for a panel review and then selection for an interview. In reference to, the vocational reality and, with that, all of it comes down to when we hire for individuals with disabilities, we are prepared to accommodate for any disability. So we're not going to have a trail worker and hire somebody that's a quadriplegic. Those type of reasonable evaluations are done through the process for the job in which is actually being hired for. And as we have individuals with disabilities that say, hey, we want to work, we as recruiters will work with you on how to align yourself to the positions that are best suited to fit your purpose and passion, skill set, and competencies, as well as your disabilities. I
Right,
hope that answered the question.
right. And as far as working with VR to gain volunteerism, we are exploring more ways to bring in participants open to volunteering to those areas. But yes, you're absolutely welcome to volunteer at parks to gain experience. And remember that all volunteer experience counts on your resume, just like a job. So the number of hours worked, your experience, your accomplishments, and any of those skills gained definitely work towards gaining experience for federal hiring and federal employment. All right.
So I
Oh,
did want to bring up too that we are working to establish what we call non-paid work experience on the job training, apprenticeships. They come over a plethora of different names where individuals can be brought into part positions and be trained on the job or non-paid work experience to be able to qualify for a permanent full-time or a career seasonal position as well. So those are fairly new. They're not new to veterans with disabilities, but it is becoming more prevalent across the National Park Service to create those positions with individuals with disabilities. And those are announced the same way as most other positions as well. Or we work directly with a voc rehabilitation employment coordinator to identify those people and then present those individuals to national parks to be considered for those type of apprenticeships, on the job training, or stuff like that as well.
Hey, this is Jenny. Just thought maybe if it would be easier, Sarah and team, if we want to address questions at the end, because I know we've got a kind of a myriad of not only net point of contact folks, but we also have our state vocational rehab counselors here in Michigan on the line too. And maybe, just so you can get through your presentation, I just want to make sure you have enough time, and we definitely have targeted time for Q&A at the end as well.
okay. Oh, I'm turning my video back on. I had some technical issues a few minutes ago. So I'm back, and that's a good idea. Let's finish up our presentation and then we'll save the remainder of the questions for the end. So keep those questions coming and we'll get to those down the line. All right, building our partnerships. Basically, what can we do for you and the people you serve in terms of finding opportunities, exploring careers, and getting those job postings and vacancies out, and really do that that people matching and job matching better, and understanding federal jobs, our process, and both the careers that are available. We can offer you career workshops such as our federal jobs, our hiring authority training, and federal resumes. I've also started a careers in biological sciences and natural resource management that I'm offering in conjunction with the USDA. So I'll be starting that up next year, and that's definitely an option. We can offer targeted job postings, and we send many of those to CSAVR.net. Kathy helps us distribute those and does so much work behind those scenes to help with those as well. We can provide current vacancies for the people you serve based on location, hiring authority, and career. All you have to do is really let us know what you need to help those people and your best contact, and we can start sending you those vacancy postings. We also have flyers and handouts that can help you in getting the word out, and that's both for our national recruitment team with some quick links for youth services, veterans, and SkillBridge. So those are all areas that we can build our partnership and really tailor to what you need and help your participants provide the services for them. Oh, and that's the end of our presentation. So from here, we can have questions and answers.
Sarah, there was a question in the chat. And oh, it was if there a parallel between the Department of Natural Resources and National Park Services.
Oh, good question. Yes, so the Department of Natural Resources and National Park Service, we do have long-standing partnerships. I believe Glenn knows a little bit more about that than I do. Oh, looks like Glenn's not available. Okay,
I
so
was typing a response to a question about the length
Oh,
of time
okay.
it can
There you
take to
are.
get, it can take anywhere from 90 to 180 days after the closing of a announcement to get hired or get notified that you've got the job after interviews and everything else. So sometimes it can take up to a year depending on it. But again, remind me what the question was because I don't see the chat room. And remind me what the DNR was.
Department of Natural Resources.
Oh, okay. So those are two separate federal government entities. The National Park Service falls under the Department of Interior. The DNR, I think they fall under the Department of Energy. So they're different land grants in different pots of money for a different term that as far as what the federal government regulations and funding is. National Park Service is specifically directed towards the preservation of not only land, but also our cultural sites as well. Hopefully that answers the question.
And Glenn, this is Jenny from Michigan. Thanks for clarifying that too, because when we say DNR in Michigan, that's our state department that actually does fall under energy and some other categories. But yeah, that's very well known in our state is, DNR is kind of that state entity. So thank you for adding the federal component to that too.
Yeah, definitely. Department of Energy has a very large footprint, but again, they're not always about the preservation like Tennessee Valley Authority with the dams and stuff like that. They're more, even though they do a lot of preservation, their primary focus is the generation of energy and so on and so forth.
All right. Next question. Youth and young adult programs, you have a large STEM initiative and would like to get individuals connected to those STEM fields. So yes, Glenn's typing an answer, but we can also talk about that as well. Yes, National Park Service is heavily involved in STEM fields and the STEM mission. Everything from our biological technicians, our ecologists, work in those areas. And we also have technology running behind the scenes, everything from the people who run our computers to the GIS systems, and also in engineering for our wastewater, civil engineering, our architecture positions, including landscape architectures, and things like that. So Glenn took care of that. just to clarify, all we need to do is reach out to any recruitment team member for targeted job postings. Glenn will be taking care of that. You can reach us all at nationalrecruitmentteam@nps.gov. National Recruitment Team is all one word. So I will type that answer in the chat.
I'm typing it in there right now.
Okay, so Glenn's going to be getting you that contact information. The next question is, are employees required to travel for NPS positions, or are people assigned to one site or location? The best answer to that is it really depends on the job, and it's job specific. So in every vacancy posting, there's a travel percentage on the right-hand sidebar, and you can look at that sidebar and it will tell you how much travel is required. Very often the vacancy descriptions will go into details about what kind of travel would be required, whether it's traveling between sites or traveling to things like industry events that would be more occasional. So sometimes travel is required, sometimes people are assigned to one park. I would say typically that a larger park would have someone working at that site continuously, and someone who's working in a more regional capacity would be traveling more frequently to go to those other sites, working for those smaller parks. Okay, you talked about accommodations. Can you recall one of the most creative accommodation implemented for an individual? Well, I don't specifically work in accommodations, but we did have a People of the Interior and chat during October for Disability Employment Month. And we do have a Department of Interior ecologist that goes out into the field with her dog. And she does have a guide dog that helps her with vision. And I think that was the most creative thing I've heard of because, you know, it's bringing your dog out into parks, like Kathy was saying earlier, and a very creative solution so that someone can work in that field and stay safe. All right. So there's 6 parks in Michigan. Is it best to go through USA Jobs, connect with the national recruitment team, or local park managers? I would say contact our national recruitment team, and we will get you in touch with those youth services department that we have at the national level. And then you can funnel down to those local park managers. Of course, if you meet a park manager or superintendent, and those people have more direct opportunities for you, definitely work with those. But I would say if you're just getting started from scratch, come to our national recruitment team and we'll help you with the resources you need to get started with those youth and young adult programs.
Hey, Sarah, this is Jen again. Thank you. I just wanted to kind of do a disclaimer to your comment. So for some of our vocational counselors that are from Michigan, that are on the call today, I just want to reiterate that as far as reaching out to recruitment, to please reach out to your respective business relations consultant first. So that is a coordinated approach. So Sarah, we don't inundate you and your team with lots of emails. We'll kind of create that, as Kathy often talks about, that single point of contact.
Right.
For our Michigan folks who are on the line, please reach out to your business relation consultant if you have a candidate for one of these positions that is posted by the National Park Services. Thank you.
Right. Right. And that would be a good follow-up. We can work by partnering more closely with your business relations team and our youth services as we go between.
Sarah, this is Kathy. I also saw the question on retention, and you and I had talked about that prior. You know, our goal is not just to support you in getting great candidates. but also
Right.
in keeping those great candidates and people who acquire disability during their employment life cycle working successfully for national parks. So just to let the person know who had that question, we could be part of that solution.
Right, exactly. And we do have some retention efforts going on inside of parks, such as our RISE initiative for respect, inclusivity, um, safe environments as well. So uh, that's one thing we are doing. And Glenn's working on all those questions in the chat. Great job, Glenn. Thank you.
Yeah, I will say I would love to see your retention-based strategies because we are literally, that's one of the tasks for us to develop in our national strategic recruitment plan that we have not addressed yet, other than advertising to all National Park Service employees of potential lateral and advancement career opportunities with the National Park Service. So I would love to see any templates that you have of best practices on that, because we are literally tasked to write that policy for the National Park Service. And I would love to have a section specifically on retaining those with individuals with disabilities. So yeah, I definitely want help on that.
All right, Glenn. Well, we'll set up some follow-up time to talk.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work, and Sarah and I talked about some of the work that we've done with the Forest Service around retention. So I think there's some similarities here, and we are happy to provide support. I do want to let people know as well, Glenn and Sarah, that and the questions that are coming in and you want us to respond to and send out in a follow-up email, just go ahead and send them to us, and we'll put everything together and send a follow-up out along with the overview that you provided us of the National Park Service, Sarah. If that sounds like a good strategy. So we get the
Yeah,
same message out to our whole team.
Yes, that's a good idea, and that helps us going forward, because then we can create an FAQ down the line. We never know what's coming, so it's good for us to be able to do that.
Yes. I just know how open you are and how active you and your team have been, and I just really want to thank you. As your positions are coming out, we are sharing those. The resume writing workshops are really helpful because a federal resume looks a lot different. So we'll continue getting those out, and however we can support you. We appreciate your commitment.
Absolutely. Well, we're very happy to be here, and we love everything that the NetCS AVR is doing for us.
Well, we're in it together. And
Absolutely.
there's Jenny and Lisa, I think, are going to come back up, but we would just say thank you. I mean, I so appreciate our national parks across the country. I have a particular fondness for those in Washington State, but the other ones are good too. And I think we'll have to go visit them, Jen, and set up a
Yes.
tour to make sure.
Yes, just to make sure they're all as good as the brochures.
That's right.
Pin them as we go.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, echoing Kathy, thank you, Sarah and team, so much for taking time to kind of walk us through all these career opportunities. Again, many of us have been exposed, kind of the public facing staff, but so many additional opportunities. You've talked about law enforcement and, behind the scenes kind of, fire and law enforcement, and behind the scenes opportunities as well. Lots of great questions that folks have been putting in the chat. And as Kathy said, we'll make sure to get those responded and bring back to the group. But again, thank you for taking time out of your day-to-day to share all of this great information with our respective teams.
All right. Well, thank you too. I mean, we can't do these kinds of things without a huge effort, inviting everyone on your side and inviting everyone who's part of these partnerships as well.
We look forward to continuing and growing this partnership. So let's have that continued conversation on retention and how we can be support there and share some strategies. But let's continue getting those opportunities out there. They look great. There's a few I'm looking at, so I'll let
Oh.
you know, Sarah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you for
All
hosting
right.
us too, by the way.